Upper Iowa's coming off a 54-35 decision to Augustana of South Dakota a week ago and preparing to host Seniors Day on Saturday against the Wayne State College Wildcats. I'm Elwin Huffman, joining me right now to talk about last week's game and to preview the upcoming matchup with Wayne State is the play-by-play voice of Upper Iowa football, Joe Stasi. And Joe, first of all, a 54-35 loss, a lot of offense last week in that game against Augustana. 1,192 yards of total offense, and sounds like it was just a tough day all the way around for Upper Iowa.
It was, and you know how these NASCAR packages work with these spread offenses that a lot of different colleges are using, pros are even using it, but both the Augustana University Vikings and the Upper Iowa Peacocks employ that philosophy offensively. So, you know, NASCAR, obviously, even if you're a casual sports fan, you understand what that would possibly mean. It means getting up to the line of scrimmage within 15 seconds of the previous play, and Upper Iowa's goal is to have 90 snaps per game, and they did that. And Augustana was really close behind at 84 snaps per game. And so you can imagine as a play-by-play broadcaster how much time you really have to breathe and how much your radio analyst actually gets a chance to talk during those times. It's few and far between. But before I get into the game, the recap of the game, and look forward to Wayne State this Saturday, again, always just thanking you, Elwin, and everybody at the stations for giving me the opportunity to get on the horn and talk a little bit about Iowa's only NCAA Division II athletic program in Upper Iowa. And this year hasn't been what we expected. We're a little surprised on the football field. It all started out with, way too many turnovers the first 5 football games, which spelled a 1-5 start for us, and we fought back, and we got a win against Concordia St. Paul, and we played well in many of the football games that we've been involved with this year. But Augustana was a really tough contest. We knew it coming in. They returned 10 starters from last year's team that was ranked in the top 25 that made the NCAA Division II playoffs, and they're led by a kid by the name of Trey Hyde, and he's going to be an All-American. There's no question about it. He's now thrown for 93 touchdowns in his career, and he's just having a marvelous season this year. Last week against Upper Iowa, as you mentioned, 1,192 yards offense, 652 came from Augustana. Trey Hyde on the ground rushed for 99, and then through the air he was 30 of 48 for 466 yards and 6 touchdowns, and he ran for a touchdown as well. So he's a superstar at this level. He's strong, he's smart, he knows the offense, he knows the defenses, he can get outside the pocket, and he just has a gunslinger of an arm. And he had 2 favorite wide receivers, as he has all year long, by the name of Charlie Hayes and Matt Heller. They combined for 232 yards and 147 yards and 3 touchdowns between them. And they went deep all day long. And Upper Iowa secondary is pretty strong, but if you throw the ball up 7 to 10 to 12 times, you're bound to win a couple of those. And the game got off to a bad start. We fumbled the opening kickoff. Augustana got the football, scored the next play to build a quick 7-0 lead, and if you listen to the game on the M950 KOEL or viewed it on KCRG TV 9.2, the fans got a full dose of the Joe Stasi rant. We were down 21-0, and Trey McTaggart came across the field on a fade route, caught the football at the 45-yard line right down in front of us. He then turned it downfield and just lumbered his way inside the 5-yard line and got to about the 2, and the defensive back or linebacker was right on him, had his hand on his jersey, and was about to rip him down, and Trey Hyde put the football up in the air. I couldn't tell if he was putting it up in the air to cross the goal line. He crossed the goal line. The defender fell on him. The ball came loose. The official indicated a touchdown. I then, continued with my touchdown call and was waiting. Upper Iowa back in the ball game, 21-6, and here comes the PAT unit. Well, the point after touchdown unit, the special teams unit, didn't come out on the field. The officials didn't indicate anything on their microphone, and the next thing I know, the ball was placed back at the 25-yard line, which was 15 yards from where it originally was. So here I am, totally confused. My radio broadcasting partner, Chris Shaw, was confused. I had him take off the headsets and go to the main press box and find out what was happening. Well, the new rule in college football is there's no taunting. And I just thought it was the most ridiculous call I'd ever seen in my life. And I've seen it now. I went back and watched it. I still stick to my guns. He reached up, and he wasn't taunting. He wasn't looking backwards. Yes, it probably was a celebration, but my gosh, you took away a touchdown from a young man. I don't care if it would have been the other team. If it would have been, but it happened to be the Peacocks. I would have gone off on the official the same way each and every time. I get it; it's a rule. You can't taunt, but in that situation, it wasn't taunting, so we gave the football back. And they continued to mount up the score. It was 30-0 before we finally got on the board with a touchdown from Ryan Parmley, a 33-yard touchdown run, 30-7, and the ball game went back and forth. We got it back to within 2 possessions, 44-28 late in the third quarter, but it ended up 54-35, and then the call didn't have anything to do with the outcome of the game, even though it switched momentum a little bit. I just can't believe that these officials would call that and take a touchdown away from any young man who works their tail off. And again, I can see it if he would have turned around and shoved the ball in his face and started to dance, but that wasn't the case.
Well, Upper Iowa's got a chance to rebound this week, playing Wayne State's College, a team that comes here 3-5, coming off a loss to Winona State, 41-20. If the series history of these two teams is any indication, this will be a really tight ball game on Saturday, Joe. As you know, they've split the last 10 innings between them. In fact, 6 of the last 7 games between Wayne State and Upper Iowa have been decided by 3 points or less, including last year's 34-31 double overtime win by Upper Iowa in Nebraska.
It is. I tell folks that are out there listening today, if you're not doing anything Saturday afternoon, get on up to Harms Eyeshide Stadium on campus at Upper Iowa University. It's going to be a perfect afternoon. The weather's going to be great, and you're going to see 2 NCAA Division II college football teams go at each other, and man, they rip each other's heads off, and they play everything. It's 100% full speed. And these two teams, as you mentioned, it's close. They're 2 programs that almost mirror each other as far as depth, talent, and skill. They have a kid by the name of Zach Osborne who is a 5th-year senior. He got a medical red shirt. He's back, and he can run. He can throw. He's got 2 running backs by the name of Rashad Trimble and Arlius Burns that can carry the load on the ground, and he has 3 or 4 different wide receivers he likes to throw to. They match up Iowa almost in every way, shape, or form. They, as far as points scored per game, they score 26. They give up 32. Upper Iowa scores 29. They give up 32. Total offense, 462 for Upper Iowa, 372 for the Wayne State College Wildcats. And it'll be interesting to see if Upper Iowa can really stop their run attack, force Zach Osborne from Wayne State College to be just use him back there passing. If they can hold him to just passing the football, I think we can come up with some turnovers and some big stops and get this football game. We have 24 sacks on the year, and Nate Romer, Joe Bush, Zach Rees, JoJo Simpson, and our linebackers of Mitchell Seek, Eric Munoz, and Keith Schrickerath deserve a lot of credit. And you got to give it up to the secondary, too, because they're doing their job back there for the most part. Darius Cone, Jordan Romas, Marcus McCoy, and Tanner Thompson. But it'll be a really exciting, well-played, close college football game on campus at Upper Iowa this Saturday afternoon.
Well, the season goals kind of changed now for Upper Iowa prior to last week's game. If the Peacocks were to win out, they'd still have a chance for a winning season. That part of the mix is gone now, Joe. This is the final home game of the season. It is Senior Day at Harms-Eichstätt Stadium on Saturday. So how important is a win here to end the home career for these 24 seniors?
Well, for their parents and for their and for the kids themselves, it's a game that they'll never forget. I mean, I can remember being at Upper Iowa on Senior Day, and a lot of athletes out there that whether they play high school or college, small or big college, or even pros, you remember things like this. It's a very poignant day. You know, when you get up, you remember everything that you do as a senior. You remember what you had for breakfast. You remember the pregame speech. You remember what your coach tells you, and you just know that this is the last time you're going to lace them up, strap it on, and go play college football in front of your home crowd. So it's very important in the respect that they go out and give it everything they have. And I always think that the teams that are home on Senior Day have the advantage, obviously home field advantage, and then a little extra advantage because there's a psyche that goes into playing at home for your last time. You know it, you can breathe it, and as that clock winds down, you get goosebumps, and you look up at the clock and you look up at the stands, and you see time dwindling down, and you know that it's over, man. 95% of these guys never put on pads again unless they make a crack at the NFL, CFL, or the Indoor Football League, and some of them do. Two of them are Lucas Hefty and Chaz Holt are Iowa Barnstormers right now, so they continue to play. But for the most part, it's a very emotional day for these guys. You know what? You get to that third win. We should have 4. We should have 5 wins. Those turnovers just killed us. The missed 15-yard field goal at MSU, losing 23-21. You go back to the St. Cloud game. We lost 27-20 and gave up 5 turnovers. It's important to get that third win because after this, we have 2 games left, both on the road, and I'll say it'd be a huge upset if Upper Iowa could beat the University of Sioux Falls, South Dakota Cougars, who are ranked in the top 5, I believe, in the country. They're undefeated at 8-0, and then Minnesota State Mankato, who is no stranger to the number 1 spot. I think they have also found their way back into the rankings in the top 25, surely in the top 10 in the regional rankings. So 2 tough road ball games after this one at home. Wayne State College, the Wildcats at home for a 107 kick at Harms-Eichstätt Stadium on campus at Upper Iowa this Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope we see a lot of people out there.
A series is tied to 5-5, the 11th meeting all time between the Peacocks and the Wildcats, and Upper Iowa going for its 4th straight win in the series. You mentioned a 107 kickoff at Harms-Eichstätt Stadium on Senior Day. And if you can't make it to Fayette for the game, we'll have all the action on AM 950 KOEL, starting with pregame coverage at 12:30. Joe Stasi, again, thanks for your time, and have a good call on Saturday.
Love your program, dude. Thank you so much. You're a pro, and we'll talk next week.